Welcome to this series. We're looking at struct today. So struct, a collection of different data types together. Creating a struct, for me, the easiest way is really doing it outside of Unreal. So deleting things like binaries, intermediate, and saved from the folder, also from the plugins folder if you have any, because I want to have this in the plugin there. Same thing, I delete the binaries into intermediate. Then I go back and either in your project folder or in your plugin folder, you start creating the text files. So if it's the project folder you want to have the struct in, you go to source and then you go into a file structure that you need. I go in the plugins here, I go to public as a struct. I create here a new folder called structs. And in the folder, I will create as many structs I need. For the moment, let's do one. These are at the moment empty text files. So you just have some naming, started with F for the naming convention, and connection info I need here, for example, .h. So empty text file is created. Now we can restart our project. And first thing we have to do, recreating the Visual Studio solution file. So right click, options, generate Visual Studio files to make that new file visible in Visual Studio itself. So let's start Visual Studio, let's have a look. And we should see our newly created file here. Let's open here on the left and source, publics, this one. And yeah, here we are. So empty file. Now we need to fill it with content. We go to pastebin. You see the link in here. We copy what we have here and just pass it down. I will switch all the comments on, so being a bit smaller, then it's a better overview. Okay, first thing, going to the include and change your file name to the name that our file actually has. In our case, it's fconnection info.generated.h. Very important, otherwise you will not see any of these macros like USTRUCT and so on. Then the USTRUCT itself. It's a blueprint type, so we can see it from blueprint. It has a display name, so we change the name from the standard name to something we define. It's an F table row based. We want to use it in a data table. And it has a lot of properties, how many we need. Properties are always U properties, simply to make sure that they are one thing garbage collected and the other thing is they are replicated. We have a small constructor setting everything to 0 or null pointer to make sure that we don't run into problems later here. That's recommended. Most people don't do it, but I recommend it. We have some helper functions. One is get type hash. That is important, for example, if you use it in a map as a key to make it unique. And the second thing is the compare operator overwritten. So here we have a routine that compares one struct with the others, for example, if it's bigger or smaller. And we have an invisible save pointer object simply to trigger the garbage collection here. So that is what we have. Most important, of course, are your properties, because that's what struct is about, putting some properties together. Not too much, otherwise you should use an object or an actor, but for small structures, that is quite handy. So let's start Unreal again, and let's have a look what we have currently. So on the right, we have our Unreal, our Visual Studio editor. On the left, we have Unreal. Let's open a blueprint and look for our new struct. The original name was template struct. So let's create a variable and look for template struct. Template struct. Yeah, we have string, but we don't have struct. So that's somehow failing. So we cannot see it anymore because we did set the display name. So the display name here is connection info. Why not trying that out? If we can see anything here. So, connection info looks better. So only the display name we set is actually the one that will be used here to make it visible. So we have our variable created. Let's drop it in here, cleaning up a bit. And first thing, we break this struct into the components. And here you see all the three properties that we have being broken down, meaning I can access them individually. If we set it and say make struct, you see only two of them. Yeah, we have the int, we have the string, we don't have the actor. Looking at that, the actor is blueprint read only, all others are blueprint read write. So let's change that. Blueprint read write, then important, save the file, and tell Unreal to recompile the current solution, kind of quick compiling. If you don't have too many changes, that normally works. takes a couple of seconds, should be green at the end. And you see, yeah, already updating, meaning now I also can set the actor template simply because it's blueprint read write from here. So one thing, the reason actually we have this get type hash function is using it in map, and that is something you can do. You just switch it here, the variable to map, and here with the get type hash function we can be sure that the comparison is quite efficient. Summing it up, struct is a collection of different types of data that are related. Important, it's a small one, otherwise you should use an object or an vector. Naming convention is it starts with an F normally. The C++ template that I use is here on the pastebin. Important notes, yeah, for creation, it's really messy in Unreal Engine itself, so I always do it from the outside world. Deleting binaries, intermediate and safe, both in the solution and in all the plugins. Then deleting the Visual Studio solution file and recreating it. The properties should be uProperty. With that macro, you make sure that they are replicated and garbage collected. And the struct is a blueprint type if you want to use it from blueprint. And the display name is something where you can override the standard name. Very important, you have to include in your header this generated.h, otherwise all the macros like property and USTRUCT will not work and you get a lot of compiler errors. That is for structs, a very simple data structure. I hope it helps and see you soon. Bye.